The VHS franchise is probably one of the most entertaining, well-made, and exciting anticipated horror franchises ever, in my opinion. No one may ever agree because every time a new one comes out, it gets a review bomb on Letterboxd and Rotten Tomatoes, and I can't understand why. I have more excitement and anticipation for this franchise more than anything else that's being rebooted or having a sequel. I find more excitement in this franchise than Halloween sequels or reboots and anything that Blumhouse is making. So I will be talking about why this franchise is the best horror franchise. Well, it is, but some of these VHS movies are not perfect, such as Viral and Mostly 99, which to me gave more respect to Viral. I have 4 points in here and a conclusion to why this franchise is good at horror and with its concept and everything that keeps me engaged in its new developments. So let's start off with Fear. Fear is one thing in VHS that does very well. The way every film is with its directing and writing to the approach of the horrors we're about to experience, it keeps you engaged and caught on the horror experience. The performance that the actors and the actresses give here give a performance that feels scared, endangered, shocking, and evil. I feel like the fear comes from the performances, effects, and writing, which I'll talk about later. But I would like to give an explanation on how this franchise does well with fear. In VHS 2, the Safe Haven segment, it starts out as a document or interview with the cult and a cult leader. It starts off good and easy, and then it gets into a violent act. The cult leader gets crazy and violent for a small problem, and then everything spirals into a violent nature. A guy finds a woman with a busted open bloody stomach and freaks out. The whole cult in the temple takes their life away for a sacrifice. A man executes another man with a gun, then executes themselves. The cult leader and a group of girls take a pregnant woman to a room for the child to be born. The cult leader explodes and we see the bloody results of blood and his body parts. The crazy part happens when a big horn comes out of the stomach and rips wide open the stomach. Then the devil, which is the child, comes out of the pregnant woman's stomach. The main character runs away back to the car, then drives away, and we hear the beast running after him. Then the end of the segment comes to an end, revealing the beast. At the end, we're left with a reaction: scared, shocked, saying what the hell was that, or what did we just watch? Also in the end, when it reveals the beast, that's supposed to be his child, so that's one sinister part about this segment. This can also go for any kind of segment, such as Amateur Night, where it starts off decent and later unfolds into the scary secret where the woman they took was an angel and slaughters everybody. Slumber Party Alien Abduction, where some kids alone at home have a slumber party and what happens later is an alien abduction. The aliens in here are quite scary, but the effects and the sound that's going on in the background really raises the fear and the tension up. It was a really good and effective segment. Storm Dream is a very genius segment following a news reporter as they go through a sewer to discover a creature. Then we see that there is a cult that worships this creature, and the final part comes when the news reporter vomits a black acid and melts a news reporter's face off, meaning that she's part of the cult. The sick thing that happened to Emily when she was younger, a ride at the park, and the subject, and plenty more I can show. You can't get a good reaction from these or any other tapes because you liked what you saw and the way they used the fear and the horror was actually good. You may get those reactions. I got those reactions. I mean, it's my opinion. I feel like these tapes and many more tapes out there do very good at making everything look scary. So that's all I could say. I think in my opinion, I think the VHS movies are really good with fear and having good scary effects and having really good designs and literally everything that resembles horror, and always having like some kind of new horror element and new fear element that we all love and we all could get a good reaction from. I love that. Now it's time to move on to the next point, which is storytelling. The storytelling in these segments are pretty great. Not all of them. The only VHS movies that are not great are Viral and 99. But the only segments I enjoy from Viral and 99 are Parallel Monsters and Ozzy's Dungeon. Some of the stories in other VHS segments felt organic, and you can agree that the ones I'm talking about are from VHS 1 and 2, and I would say Viral. Maybe some of these tapes originated with you and other horror fans. The main narrative of these movies are so great. My most favorite main narrative is from 99 and 85. A whole VHS movie has 5 writers to come up with these interesting stories. That's great. Not all of the segments in a VHS movie can be good. Some people may say that this has been done before and they have already seen this. But a segment can come off as a surprise based on what you haven't seen before, such as VHS 85. All the segments are some things I have never seen in the VHS franchise before or been done before, such as a terrifying lake trip connects to a celebration party segment, then turns into a cop raid, a gone wrong science experiment, virtual reality technology used for demonic summoning, and turns deadly, a strange POV of a killer killing his victims and turning it into the police, and soon has probably a hilarious plot twist. All of these look like something we have not seen in the VHS franchise before and feel like an interesting touch. Well, to me, it feels like something I haven't seen in the VHS franchise before, but if you've seen this kind of stuff before, you probably would feel a little bit better having it seen in the VHS franchise. It looks real, it looks unreal, whatever it is, but I mean, isn't the whole point of these VHS movies to tell an interesting horror stories? I mean, not everything needs to rely on realism unless it looks good and has an interesting story. And hey, sometimes the unreal things in these movies look great, and that's what I love of them. So I believe that most of the storytelling in some VHS segments are great and some aren't. They all come from 5 great writers, and it tells that they all put their hard work and effort into convincing fear, craziness, and come up with anything to make something unique and entertaining. Now I guess it's time to move on to my next point in filmmaking. The filmmaking and visuals are pretty well done in these movies. They give us some kind of style or unique style, and some don't. I mentioned before that the anthology style, a main narrative turning into a story, is really good and interesting. Some segments are set to look like a mockumentary, surveillance, POV style, or any kind of style from past era. What I mean is that the people creating these segments try to make it look great, entertaining, and try capturing a lot of scary and good stuff that's happening. They work well with setting, acting. These writers and directors are very good with filming and with actors because they are responsible for what's presented on screen. So that's what makes these segments great, is that they capture really good and interesting stuff that's happening. And just like storytelling, the segments always explain what's happening and why it's happening very clearly and without anything taking our attention. Some of these segments explore other kinds of found footage, such as a computer camera, a small hidden camera, a GoPro. In my opinion, VHS 1 and 2, and maybe all of the movies, despite Viral and 99 being the worst, they all still have good filmmaking style, and mostly 1 and 2 because of the low quality and makes it liable to the time it was released. That's what the VHS franchise should be, exploring new types of filmmaking quality, like in whatever time a movie takes place, to make it reference the era it's in. The scary visuals get our attention. We don't see one thing, we see the whole entire screen for anything. We like to analyze the visuals and point out the good parts of it. For example, at the Ratman creature, when the creature appears, we love the visual and the design of the creature. In the subject, we like to look around and see what's happening, the setting, the human and machine hybrid. The science lab creature in 85 was really visually good. All these are examples I chose in my opinion, and what I consider to be good visuals. I could go on and choose more scenes as examples, but in my opinion, some segments in these VHS movies have really good visuals. I do believe that most of the segments in here may not be well made because of its story, and that could tone down how you feel about the segment. The story is what carries the whole segment. Some people may say, oh yeah, this was filmed and directed well, but the story was not. Overall, I could tell that these filmmakers put all their sweat and tears and creativity in these tapes, and I respect that. These VHS movies are not perfect, but they are the best. I said before that the VHS franchise is the best horror franchise ever, in my opinion, but it's not perfect. But it always has potential and will always be great in my eyes. What I mean about not being perfect is that some people don't consider it as their favorite movies of all time, and I don't consider it as the perfect movies or the best of all times. Like, it is the best horror franchise to me. It'll never be considered perfect by a lot of people, but to some people who like this franchise, it is considered the best horror franchise, but not perfect. The franchise does have potential to make me love it or make me dislike it. Every time we get a new teaser, I always am excited and intrigued for the new installment of this franchise. My expectations may be high, but sometimes my expectations can go low. What I mean is this. One time I was excited for VHS 99. After watching it, I turned out to be disappointed in it because it really didn't look good. It didn't feel good. It just didn't feel entertaining enough. Like, I really wanted to see more. I really wanted to see this movie like having to do its best and not to do its worst. What I'm saying is that VHS 99 didn't actually do its best. It definitely didn't try to capture the magic of the past VHS movies. But when 85 was teased, I was excited, but I was a bit worried if it was gonna be the same situation as 99. So I watched it and I really liked it. And they all had me interested and focused and asking for more. That's how I feel about every VHS movie, every new one. Some of these segments felt new, some of them felt different, and that's really my feelings on this franchise every time it sets up a new movie. In conclusion, this is why I think that the VHS franchise is the best entertaining horror franchise ever. It's not perfect or anything. It's the same concept over and over again, but not just the concept, the stories and the quality in these movies are what makes it great. The stories are built by great creators. Some of them are not great, but I will say that this franchise has potential for being entertaining. The VHS movies may have new kinds of horror plots or twists than what we see in recent horror movies. New twists, new creative stories, fun and innovative, and discovers new themes. That is why the VHS franchise is the best horror franchise ever. Again, if a new one comes out, I may be excited and have high expectations, and I may be satisfied or unsatisfied. Turned out to be, start out satisfied, turned out to be satisfied, or turned out to be unsatisfied. It could go any both. So that's it for this video on why the VHS franchise is the best horror and entertaining franchise ever, in my opinion. If you disagree, that's fine. We all have different opinions and we could all respect our opinions. I sure can't wait for the new VHS movie, probably taking place in the 70s, early 2000s, maybe in space, which seems a weird plan but fun. A fun setup, or maybe in the end of the world or an apocalypse, or a city theme like LA, Hollywood, Las Vegas, or any other place or something. I really would love to see a new kind of theme and new stuff in this franchise. I would be intrigued, and I'd die for a new movie, no matter what. And that is it for today's video. Thank you for sticking around and watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.